Dragon Ball Sparking Zero was so adamant to sell a music pack? Because it is apparent and everyone universally agrees Dragon Ball Sparking Zero has the worst soundtrack in Dragon Ball games history. Perfection was right yet again. Yeah, I just got the footage in the Dropbox, and again, much to nobody's surprise, not to my surprise, I already knew, but this game has the worst soundtrack, period, point blank. That ain't clickbait, buddy. This game has the worst track in history, the worst soundtrack in history, bar none. It lowered the bar so damn low, it's on the floor. And I told people this, like, no wonder out the gate they wanted to charge $40 for an anime music pack. And I'm thinking that this was on purpose. Like, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking as I'm listening to the footage from the Dropbox, right? I'm listening to this game's track. Buddy just went through and played all the tracks in the game. And they were disappointed with everything in this game, but particularly the music in this game just doesn't sound like Dragon Ball at all. And I say this is the worst soundtrack because this game, when I heard its music, beyond that one track that everyone got tired of, so they had to put other Dragon Ball game music in their footage while they were making 30, 40 hour-long compilations of beta footage, right? Beyond that one track, this game's soundtrack gets even worse. Just listening to it, like I'm listening to the footage, I'm like, I'm not surprised, but I'm astonished by how bad this actually got. And I say it's the worst soundtrack in history because as I'm listening to this game soundtrack, and I'm like, wow, they didn't even try. I had to go in and I said, this has to be the worst. So I went to the worst Dragon Ball game that I could think of, right? Just worst. And I think we can all agree it's Dragon Ball Battle Z. I think next thing, nobody has anything good to say about that game. Well, we do have something good to say about it now because Dragon Ball Battle Z has a better soundtrack. Go right now. We on YouTube. Click open an extra tab. Go type in Battle Z soundtrack. Listen to that soundtrack, and then go back if you made the mistake of purchasing this game and listen to this game soundtrack and compare the two. Tell me which game sounds more like a Dragon Ball game, Battle of Z or Big Bad Sparking Zero. Sparking Zero, it doesn't even sound like it sounds like nothing. It is the epitome of background because you don't even notice it. It's so meh. It's so meh. And let me make this clear. If you're a content creator, the anime music pack does nothing for you because you already know what's going to happen if you use it. Copyright. So you already know. You have no option. And now it's like, oh, well, you got to go back to what? Using Budokai 3 and Budokai Tenkaichi 3 music because all these tracks are trash. And what makes it even more angering, right? And I've brought this up before. Like they had options. It was not as though, because the composer for this really didn't care. I guess they looked at how trash this game really is and said, you know what? This game is garbage. We're composing garbage. You get what this game's quality is, and you're getting a trash quality soundtrack to go with it. And yes, every piece of music, every track just sounds generic. And again, no surprise from the creators of Jump Force, who had nothing but garbage, generic, like heroic track number 99. That's what it sounds like. I'm not lying. You're hearing it in the background of this video as I'm doing commentary. I'm playing it in the background, and you hear how generic each track sounds. Every last one. Perfection was right again. And again, what makes this bad, because I remember Jump Force, at least they had one, count them, one decent track. I remember when they dropped Madara in that game, and they had that Naruto stage blended with some area, because you know that's what they do in Jump Force. I said, that one track is okay because it fit Madara and it matches this eerie sound. But again, I'll be the first to tell you, yeah, every soundtrack in Jump Force is garbage. So it was no surprise that over here in the game they produced, why though? It's not like they didn't have options. That's what's astonishing to me, because you know what I'm about to say. How is it? And I think again, this is planned obsolescence. I think they intentionally sandbagged this game's soundtrack when you acknowledge the fact they had an option of using the mobile game soundtrack. They had the option of whoever, because again, Dragon Ball Dokkan Battle, every soundtrack. I don't even play that game, but I hear the music from it because it ends up in my recommends. I'm subscribed to a bunch of people who do the whole music uploading bit. And again, one thing I can't subtract from them for is the soundtrack. Every mobile game soundtrack I hear is just straight fire. 100% fire. Like, every soundtrack is a banger. So they had that's what pisses me off. That's what should piss you off, is that when it comes to the gacha mobile games, they can get the authentic Dragon Ball game soundtrack that just sounds, it has that sound, it has that anime sound, and it gets you pumped up to fight, even though you're doing little PNG actions on the little cell phone, right? You got you playing with images, but you're not playing with characters, right? So then you get to the console game, there's supposed to be this big, almighty presentation of Dragon Ball, and you get generic heroic track number 99, generic battle track number 99, generic anime rock number 9. It doesn't have any flavor. This soundtrack has no heat, no seasoning, and no flavor. Don't you dare, because Xenoverse 2 soundtrack is better than this. And I would say that even Xenoverse 2 soundtrack is not the best amongst Dragon Ball games. Surprisingly enough, Ultimate Tenkaichi soundtrack is better than this game's, and I would even say it's better than the Xenoverse 2 soundtrack. Again, I think that we can all agree, I'm not lying on that. Raging Blast 2, Dangerous Zone, straight banger. Every soundtrack on Raging Blast 2, Raging Blast 1. Don't you dare tell me that this is a sequel to BT3, and none of these soundtracks sound like they're an evolution, a deviation, an upgrade of BT3. None of them sound like that. So how's the sequel to the game going to sound worse than the previous game? This game on every fundamental level is a failure. A failure. Go on it. Hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Go on Twitter, go on Reddit, go on GameFAQs. Everyone is spitting on this game soundtrack. They're like, this is garbage. Get the hell out of here. As well they should. Again, listening to the Dropbox footage, it is just like, wow, they're really that garbage. They didn't even try. You would have even in the back of my mind, I said, you know what? Maybe they would have one or two good soundtracks in this pathetic game. Maybe that one soundtrack, maybe that's just the one that they selected. No, every soundtrack in this game is bland, unadulterated garbage. Hey, Sparking Zero Glazers, it's over. The illusion is fading. And that's before the actual release of the game. That's before the full release of this game. People are tearing this game apart, even at the soundtrack level. How do you have a worse soundtrack than Battle of Z? Battle of Z, I actually went back and I apologize, Battle of Z. You do have one redeeming quality. Your soundtrack is better than Sparking Zero. Yeah. Hey, you know it's bad when a game gives us the ability to congratulate Battle of Z on anything. You might beat the game, but nobody beats the end game of all games. And much like Sparking Zero's pathetic soundtrack, we out. Hit that subscribe button, enable all notifications. We'll see you in the next one.